what a wonderful city. It's so sunny outside right now, about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Welcome back to the World Championship Series. This is the Premier League. And joining me on the desk this time is Sam and Johan. A fantastic day so far. Lots of action, lots of fast and furious action, very similar to yesterday. And now we're going to knock it up a couple of notches because we're playing for a spot at the season finals, Todd.
Yeah, it's time to, I guess, lock it down a little bit, put on our seatbelts and turtle to Broodlords potentially. Even though in ZVZ it's mostly going to be about the roaches against roaches, I guess.
And Zerglings versus Zerglings too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh.
That's the Sean coming out to play.
Sean's back.
For the first time on air. Because if you guys don't know it, during rehearsals, this is the only voice he can go for.
It's my normal voice. Snoop versus Laser is the next match coming up. Of course, Hitman has made it to the decider game and will also play for a spot at the season finals. Interesting turn of events so far. Jim out in last place today. He was last place last season, he's last place this season. I don't know what's happened to Jim, but I saw that. Let's focus now then on this next match at hand. Snoot versus a Laser, a massive game, and I had a couple of words with Laser upstairs just now in the break or during that other game, and he's confident. He's feeling good for this.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. He seems to be confident pretty much any time he has a match, to be honest. But can we really say it's because he's confident in general, or he has the skill it takes to be able to do well? So far, it's looked like he's doing pretty good, and all the credit that we've given him prior to his match earlier really was deserved, right?
Yeah, I feel like Laser's probably, I guess he was a little bit shaken up after that first game. I mean, that's a mistake you shouldn't really make.
Yeah.
So hopefully that he's forgotten about that and he is going into this with a confident attitude after getting that victory. But it's funny that he is so confident because actually their online statistics of their match history, he's actually taken 5 losses and 0 wins against Snoot, and he hasn't actually been able to take a series off of him. So the fact that he's confident, I guess that's a good thing.
Today's a new day.
Today is a new day, and yeah, that's a good thing. And I'm like you said, I've got the hots for him.
But Snoot, you do. Snoot on the other side of things, though. I mean, you've known him for years and years and years and years and years now. Him and his tracksuits, right? Talk to us a little bit about him.
Snoot's a very, very good player. He's a ZVZ specialist, in my opinion. And I feel like he's definitely very confident in that matchup. As we can see, the past 2 times he's made it to Premier is off of ZVZ wins. And to get into this season, he actually beat Cyril 3-0, like we saw. And it was very convincing.
It was convincing. You sold me there too. I was staring at you. I think it was that convincing. Yes, it was. But there's much more at stake for Snoot than just playing and beating a Laser here and going through. There's a global final spot available if he's able to win this season, and that's huge.
Yeah, it's a long shot though, and definitely needs to be through an advancement here in this group. So. Not sure if it's quite what he has on his mind right now, because I remember it was, I think, 2 seasons ago where he was very close to qualifying, and everybody was like, so it's important for you, right? And he was like, well, hell yeah, it's important, but it's kind of messed up my mind to think so much about the qualification on the line. And in the end, I think he was in season 3, actually, of WCS, where I kind of want to say butchered, maybe it's a little bit harsh, but he didn't go far at all. He bombed out very early when he was one of the favorites, ended up winning almost no points, and then didn't make the global finals.
Well, the spots are on Lilbo now, so maybe a bit of pressure has kind of been taken away from Snoot coming into this. We do have the map vetoes ready, boys. They're going to appear now just down here below you. And the 3 maps that we are going to go to is Cactus Valley, Coda, and Terraform. And once again, we didn't quite get rid of all the 4-player maps. Cactus Valley's come in, and that's going to be an interesting first map. We'll talk about that in a second, but Coda and Terraform are going to be the more comfortable maps if we even get to that 3rd map, right?
Yeah, I feel like Snoot's going to be comfortable on those maps purely because, like we keep going over, it takes away the randomness. And Snoot isn't necessarily an aggressive player. He likes to defend, he likes to scout out what's coming and then go from there. So he's definitely going to be comfortable on those maps. But the fact that Laser did pick that as his first map, I feel like that leads me to believe that he wants to go for those later stages in the game as well.
Or is it
it could be that mind game kind of thing that 4GG's already showed us. But at the same time, Laser is very comfortable in those later stages as well, in all of his matchups and ZVZ included. So I feel like it's a good pick from a laser. Obviously, the randomness could still be there, but
if they want to go for it, though, right?
If they want to go for it.
Yeah. And do you think that any of these two would like to roll the dice a little bit? You know, 4-player map, you don't know where he is. If you get lucky and you choose the right position, you're going to end up really well. Do you think that's something that either one of these will do, or whatever, we're going to play like men?
Yeah, I think it's unlikely, but if it was to be someone, I guess it'd be a laser. Even though he's confident, maybe that's part of his confidence. He's like, well, I know that Snoot kind of always opens safe. There is maybe one build that I can do to try and do some damage early on and then get ahead economically because of that build. So maybe I'll try it on that map, on the 4-players map, hoping he's going to scout me second or last.
Okay, then. So going to have to ask my favorite question then, the predictions, boys. Let's jump right into this then. Todd, which way are we swinging today?
I know that Blink's going to pick Snoot, so I'm very tempted to take a laser. But
I don't think so.
You
I think
think
he's
I'm
choosing
gonna
the laser.
pick Snoot?
Have you been listening to this kid the last few days? He's had the hots for 2 people. A laser and Tilo.
Yeah, true. Okay, then I'll definitely go for Snoot myself, just to disagree with you.
I'm going to agree with Todd.
Oh my God.
No, I actually think a laser. I feel like Snoot's style can be picked apart. I feel like sometimes he plays a bit too safe, and I feel like a laser's not going to win with aggressive play. I feel like he can just win with greedy play, and I feel like that's what he's going to do. So I feel like a laser 2-1.
You just said that Snoot was a CVC specialist. He beat Cyril in Challenger and all that. That's why I thought you were going to pick him.
Yeah, no, he is a CVC specialist, but I feel like his style is a bit volatile. And I tricked you. The tables have turned.
And I tricked you. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time to head to the commentary team for this one. It's going to be Colaris and the notorious PIG.
I'm glad he's with me because he is our Zerg versus Zerg expert, that's for sure. Pig, coming from the region that actually just bred Zerg after Zerg after Zerg.
I was born in Civil War, man.
Yeah,
it was just Zerg fighting Zerg my entire career. But, you grow out of that. You're used to seeing some horrible things. A lot of roaches fighting a lot of other roaches. A lot of banelings blowing up Zerglings. But at the end of the day, you come to appreciate, the fastest paced matchup in the game. It's the kind of most chaotic, but hopefully that can help us kind of see some art within the chaos.
Let's get into it then. Game at number 1 about to unfold here between Laser and Snoot. One of these guys is going to be heading to Poland to play in front of that live crowd in the round of 16 onwards, as we have spawning up to the top right-hand corner. It is our blue Zerg representing Team Extreme Supremacy. It is Laser.
Only one series away, 2 more games to getting to Poland, getting to compete in front of his hometown, home country.
I was going to say, getting to go home. And all right, well, spawning down the bottom right-hand corner, we have our red Zerg representing Team Liquid. It is Snoot.
The hero of the non-Korean scene. One of the most consistent, hard-working players for so many years now. He's pretty much the idol of most young Zerg players. I know a lot of the European Zergs look up to Snoot, not just for what he's achieved, but his attitude towards the game, his understanding of it. And he's a guy who is often giving advice to these younger Zergs. I do actually wonder, if at some point Laser's been underneath his tutelage, learned something from watching Snoot, it's always going to be something that puts a lot of pressure on you as a player to play someone who's just so established.
Yeah, definitely. I've got to completely agree with what you say. I mean, there is only so much for some of these players to gather on their own, and then they do look to those forerunners like Snoot to try and kind of grasp a little bit extra things. And, when you watch Snoot play across some of these matchups, there are things that you see. It's like in Zerg versus Protoss, for example, where he is really the forerunner. He has led the way. So maybe that is definitely the case.
Absolutely. And interestingly enough, down here, as Funk is showing us, we've got Snoot here going for a gas into pool opening, a 14-14. So this is going to be a very fast, aggressive speedling opener. And if we look at a Laser's Overlord scouts, they haven't scouted in his direction first. So, a Laser's vision, it's going to take him quite a long time before he realizes, hey, there's no natural expansion here. Meanwhile, Snoot's Overlord already heading into a Laser's base, and he's seen the hatchery first, and he's going to see, okay, a very fast gas and pool. So Snoot's got all the information to react from here.
Yeah.
But I guess his build kind of pegs him into, he's got to do some aggression here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, speed's already being produced. He's trying to play it pretty greedy here with the amount of minerals he's going to be taking after taking his drones away from the gas after having 100. Heads on down to the natural, picks that up, and maybe we'll see some Zerglings on the way very soon now.
Yeah, this is a really cool choice from Snoot because it plays against his image to some extent. A lot of players see him in Zerg vs. Zerg as being this ultra-defensive player who just wants to get to the mid-game. He wants to get roaches out, he wants to get infestors out. But here we see Snoot going for something where he's going to have a lot of tempo early on. He's going to be able to put on quite a bit of aggression and,
Yeah, it's not exactly what I was expecting from Snoot here. He's got 2 back in gas as well, so we'll be gathering a little bit. This Zergling didn't do too well against them pigeons. Actually, they're probably not pigeons, let's be honest, on this foreign planet, but I'll say they're
Cactus Valley pigeons.
Yeah, they're deadly beasts. Don't want to mess with the pigeons, mate.
Interestingly, though, Snoot doesn't have a lot of Zerglings out yet. So even though he's going down for a Baneling Nest, like, he can't really hit a big attack off this just yet. You know, he's built 18 drones. That's a lot of drones. So any sort of pressure he puts on here, it's going to be somewhat just a pressure. It's not like a big all-in attack. The laser sees the Zergling speed is finished as his Zerglings out front Snoot's base are getting killed off. A laser at home is dropping a spine crawler and trying to get those queens on that ramp. Now's Snoot's turn to put on the aggression and try to get some damage done.
Yeah, and if he doesn't get a damage done here, I mean, forcing responses from your opponent can sometimes be enough. I mean, behind this, he is droning, trying to catch on up, will put on some pressure. Drones are already not mining at this location, so that has forced some kind of responses. 2 Banelings really want to find a good detonation, and they will go straight onto the spine crawler here. They were just looking for juicy damage, AoE, to actually do damage to even Zerglings as well as the spine at the same time.
Does get 2 drone kills, does Snoot, but, you know, he's forcing out some Zerglings. He did kill the spine crawler, and Snoot is already up 3 drones behind this, but now the Zergling speed's kicked in for a laser. He does have his Baneling Nest about to finish up, and now it's a laser's turn to push back across the map and put that pressure onto Snoot.
And we'll always force some more extra units being produced here by Snoot. Obviously, he does have those 3 Banelings morphing in for the defensive stance. No spine, so it's going to be up to Queens here, as well as strategic little small maneuvers of Zerglings to try and soak up those Banelings to start things off.
Ooh, good Baneling defense there from Snoot, taking out those 4 front-running Zerglings with a laser. A laser is morphing 4 Banelings of his own, so it's quite a commitment. He wants to get in here and do a little bit of damage. Meanwhile, Snoot pulling a laser's distraction back to home with this little Zergling run-by.
Having a look around, and doesn't see much more than what is going on at the front here with the gas commitment going into these Banelings. So he will continue to try and defend the Queens. 3 of them in the front here, trying to focus down those Banelings before they can do anything. And only 1 Baneling can hardly do anything on its own. Very, very difficult to get something done with just 1 Baneling here, a laser.
Does get in the main base, so he's still forcing Snoot to kind of run around a little bit. The Baneling bruising a bunch of drones, but a very clean defense from Snoot. However, more units are coming in. Snoot still not building Zerglings, being a little bit greedy, and it looks like this follow-up wave is going to distract him a bit. But Snoot, this minimal defense doing so well.
Yeah, he had so many drones on the way during most of that attack. So it is 44 workers to 33 at the moment here in favor of Snoot, who just looks to prolong the game on. I mean, you mentioned it while we were on the break. You know, that's one of Snoot's finer strengths, just being able to prolong the game where he feels way more comfortable than almost anybody else in the European scene.
And look at it, he's pumping out so many queens. Like you were saying, that defensive unit, this unit is so versatile. He's building a lot of them, which means if he goes up against mutas, they're going to be great. And even getting a queen here, that's actually a beautiful pickup.
Yeah, fantastic stuff here. Just for a few Zerglings alone, not too bad. They will on shift off home.
Oh, a laser trying to get the base snipe on the 3rd here. Splits his lings up. Oh, doesn't want to... Oh, the Baneling not hitting a single ling. That reaction from a laser. He's just so fast with his control. Look at this, just playing with that. Such good APM from a laser. But Snoot does save the hatchery in the end.
Yeah, the way he left 1 Zergling out of the 4 when he was running around. Very, very clever little moves there by a laser, but he does save this 3rd hatch for now.
A laser's going for a big Roach Baneling attack here. He is shoving his way across this map. Snoot has a lot of Roaches already out, though. Snoot's got 3 queens here. He's got so many transfuses up, almost 4 or 5. Oh, a laser's going to come in from behind with Banelings at the same time, but there's no Zerglings here. It's all Roaches. Yep. Snoot has a very solid army here.
Baneling's trying to crash into these queens, but they already get transfused here, and so many extra Roaches actually piling on out. A laser behind this does not have a 3rd base going down, so this is almost everything here for a laser, don't you think?
Oh, a beautiful hold from Snoot. This is just classic Snoot. He's just crushed the attack with the most generic defense. He said, this will be safe against everything. You will not break me. I'm building queens, I'm building roaches, and it was just perfect. The transfuses on those queens all going off.
That's gonna sting there for a laser, trying to find some counter attack damage. And you know we're in a weird group when the Zerg versus Zerg of all series is gonna go on for potentially even the longest time because all the other series have just been very, very quick today.
Yeah, I mean, Laser and Snoot, I mean, Laser loves his aggression, but he doesn't tend to go all in with it. We can see he's trying to transition out of this, but Snoot, realizing the roach advantage he has and his roach speed kicks in, he's going to put on a big counter pressure here. Because he's got the mobility advantage, he can run away at any time. There's no way for a Laser to chase him, but Snoot's choosing to take the fight, and a Laser, he just sees he's so far outnumbered, has to tap out.
We jump into first person just to find the last glimpse of Snoot being able to take that victory. And that is Snoot taking a pretty strong one. I mean, even from the little bit of aggression he did at the start to then the aggression he greeted oh so well back at home. I can't fault his control in that. It was spectacular.
It was fantastic play from him, and I love the choice at the beginning of the series to put the onus on him to actually defend. You know, a Laser had this pressure like, oh wait, you've got Zergling speed really fast. Like, is this an all-in that's coming my way? He's kind of a little bit panicked. How big is the aggression? And it allowed Snoot to scout exactly what a Laser was doing. It allowed him to see what was going on, put the pressure on, and from there, I think Snoot felt very comfortable to say, well, my follow-up is this very defensive, standard, you know, you can't break me mode. But because I've already put the pressure, I've already got in your face, it's very unlikely you're going to sense, oh, he's being greedy, I can be greedier. Instead, we saw a Laser was like, well, you know, he did that aggression. I think if I do this counter shove, I think it could work. Yeah. And it just played right into Snoot's hands.
Very difficult to do something about. And now our second map here at Pig is going to be Coda here in Zerg versus Zerg. What do you make of this map in Zerg versus Zerg? Are there any small nuances, or is it kind of a standard?
Well, it is very straight up in many regards, but because it is one of the shorter rush distances, a 9-pool or a 10-pool Baneling, one of these early rushes could be very effective here. I mean, not as effective as, say, Terraform, but probably the second best map in the current pool for those early pool rushes. It is otherwise quite a straightforward layout, but it's a very good map for Mutalisks. There's a bit of space around the back of the bases, so you know it's pretty decent for your whole range of strategies. And generally, I think the only thing both players are thinking about here is, other than their standard game plan, is my opponent going to throw the early pool my way, or am I going to plan to throw it his way?
Yeah, I think Snoot wouldn't be in too bad a position here, just saying, okay, I'm not going to go too greedy, I'll just take the middle road, because I think Snoot looks at this group at the moment here in Season 3 as a stepping stone for a guy like him, one of the best non-Koreans in the scene right now, looking for hopes of BlizzCon. Top 16 is the least he should be doing here in this season, right?
Yeah, you can see it in his face. You know, he just took a game very cleanly, very well, but he's not excited by that. He's gone so much further in the past, and he wants to do it again.
Let's get into it then. Game number 2, as a Laser looks to put himself on the map here to defeat the best non-Koreans. And up to the top left it is that man indeed in the blue, representing Team Extreme Supremacy. It is Laser.
Looking very focused after that loss. Doesn't like the way that one went down.
And down to the bottom right-hand corner, we have our red Zerg, one game away from representing at Poland. It is Liquid Snoot.
It's interesting, looking at Snoot's face there, he does look almost even slightly annoyed. I think he's taking this very seriously, as he always does, and I don't think that he's going to give himself the the relief of feeling happy at all until he makes it out of this group, and he wants to do it in first place, preferably with that perfect record.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be going into this very serious and very focused. Now, he did use that aggressive opening last game, so it would be a nice call probably for him to go into something when you get a game up, maybe do a nice greedy hatchery first. Something like that would be a really good choice.
And that's one of the advantages that you get if you do finish in first place in one of these round of 32 groups. You actually go into a round of 16 group with 2 second places and 1 first place, as opposed to the other way around with 2 first places and 1 second place if you did finish in second. So definitely something Snoot is wanting to look for. And that is one of the big reasons why first place does matter so much in these round of 32 groups.
Yeah, the seeding's ever so important. Snoot, he takes everything seriously. Even when he's a game up, he's taking no chances here. We were talking about the threat of that early pool. Snoot taking it seriously, going for the 15 pool 16 hatchery opening. Meanwhile, Alazer feeling a little bit more free in his play, a little bit more unencumbered and unafraid, which of course fits with his audacious personality. He is going for the hatchery first into a spawning pool and a gas.
Yep, looking to get away with that. I mean, as much as Alazer here going up against a very formidable opponent, he usually is expecting Snoot to open with something a bit more down the line. Snoot's not wanting to risk too much here. He wants to move on with the 2-0. And he knows that Snoot believes that Snoot is so strong in the mid-game. That's just kind of the confidence that Snoot has.
Yeah, absolutely. Alazer, this is his weakest matchup, statistically speaking. He's a guy who's so great in his Protoss and Terran, sometimes does struggle a little bit to show that same flair in Zerg vs. Zerg, the same little tiny adjustments and the spark. But I think he's been improving a lot over the past weeks, and with his confidence going into the series, just what he's been saying to us before the games, I definitely feel like he's got a good plan here. And maybe perhaps last game, that early Speedling Baneling attack from Snoot kind of threw him off his plan, threw him off to his trajectory. But I think here he's looking to stabilize and get back on track.
And for the most part, I think a lot of both of these players as well know what awaits them in the Deciders match, which is Hitman, which is, we've already seen plenty of that today. We've already seen plenty of that.
It's actually very scary to play a player like Hitman in the deciding match. Neither of these guys wants to go down there because Hitman is such a wild card. He has absolutely no fear.
That's one way to describe him, no fear, and it's fantastic to watch, actually, when you get players like that. But for now, Snoot is going to be throwing down himself a Baneling Nest at the front, more of a defensive location than anything else. Likewise, Alazer copying the same, but leaving 2 Zerglings towards the front. Maybe he can use those for some kind of aggressive Banelings later, but I don't expect too much aggression just yet.
No, it does look like both players very content to drone right now, both building their economies and looking to have a very nice defensive setup. Interestingly, Snoot dropping a double creep tumor at the front and just now starting his 3rd queen. Looks like maybe we'll see him potentially go for a fast 3rd hatchery off this, or looking like he wants to go for that 2nd gas and building 2 extra queens. Snoot's doing the queen build again. All right, so this is the Snoot special. We talked about it briefly last game, but just to recap, the reason this is great is these queens are an anchor. Against any Ling Bane aggression like this, Snoot's going to have this bunch of queens that can go up front, and with Baneling support, it is so hard for Alazer to break past. But Alazer's committing to a pressure here anyway. He wants to get in and get some damage done.
Yeah, pressure. 10 Lings or so, coupled with these 2 Banelings, and already the focus fire strong for Snoot, bringing down a Baneling without doing anything. There is a little bit of a commitment there for Alazer that he'd rather not lose.
Not at all. I mean, it's always tricky. These queens, if they are microed so well, your Banelings just disappear. And this makes it very hard for Alazer to put some pressure on. I mean, there he is taking out a creep tumor, but Snoot's very happy to just drone up his 2 bases, going up to into his lair, his Roach War, and his Evolution Chamber. And Snoot is just looking to macro up into that Roach game in such a solid manner.
Sneaky Zerglings try and move on out towards the right-hand side. I can only assume they were spotted. And he was even able to save that creep tumor with the cancellation on it whilst it was going forward. So, going to send a Zergling in, have a little bit of a look around, and he will see that there is that Evolution Chamber behind there, the single Evolution Chamber, with +1 weapon starting this early. Can spell a potential doom later on.
Well, Alazer's actually going for a Roach Baneling attack like in the previous game. He's doing the exact same. Oh, no, he's changed his mind now. He's seeing the Zerglings of Snoot so close to scouting him. He was just about to start a ton of Roaches, and instead he said, oh, it's going to get scouted. There's no way this is working. So Alazer, flicking his thumb and saying, changing the path completely. He's now started Lair, Evo Chamber, 3rd base, and some Roaches. But if we look at those upgrades on Snoot's production tab, he has already got everything well on the way. The Lair's finished, +1's well on the way. Snoot's got a fantastic lead in the Roach tech.
And Zerglings on either side. Whoop, don't want to be sacrificing too many of those off against Banelings alone. Looks like this one's going to try and sneak on around.
Wow, Alazer going to get the base snipe here. Can he avoid the Baneling? Just barely forcing out that cancel. And nice transfuse on the drone. Beautiful save by Snoot. That drone jumping into an extractor to save itself from those Zerglings.
Yeah, very, very close there. I wasn't expecting that one to get away, but in the end he did. And also those Zerglings, I think they revealed a good chunk of those roaches over the other side as well. So he's got himself some roaches down towards the bottom, has Snoot. And yeah, those were 2 kills.
I mean, let's keep in mind, you know, Snoot was in such a great position. That third base is crucial because it's finally put some pressure back on Snoot and it kind of limits his options. The laser now knows, okay, you don't have a third base until after mine. If I just mass up roaches with just a couple of drones on my third, then maybe I can defend your roaches and you know, we can be on an even footing. Whereas otherwise, he would have had to worry saying, your roaches have better upgrades than mine, there's more of them, and your third base is faster. Now a laser can kind of limit in his mind what he has to respond to. It makes his path forward a lot easier.
Yeah, the third base going down was great for him. +2 started up here for Snoot, so it's not look like he's going to try and take any advantageous position here with his +1 being done earlier. Very difficult to do. Infestation Pit is pretty fast here for Snoot.
Might go for his 1 or 2 infester style. It's a Snoot specialty. Him and a few other players like to do it, where they just get a couple of infestors without the pathogen glands.
Yeah.
You know, ooh, gonna catch those banelings. Really nice pickup. I love how a laser tries to always go for these little pressures, but Snoot's just on the ball right now.
Yeah, he is. This Roach force, 32 against 23 at the moment here. A laser is looking to try and strike at the moment. Let's see how much this can do, because right now it's quite a lot of roaches.
Yeah, I mean, Snoot wasn't building any drones there, any roaches for a while, just droning. He's got a big drone lead. He's got double upgrades and infestation pit. And even with these queens here, I mean, he's got equal roach numbers right now, but that reinforced for a laser is really big.
Yeah.
Oh, this is looking like a very nice attack timing. The upgrades are equal. Is the laser going to be able to press through?
You might be able to do quite a bit of damage here. The reinforcement point's going to have to be super strong here for Snoot, but all of them are coming out in a staggered motion, so all the damage isn't being done back to a laser's army as quickly as he would like. That being said, the right-hand flank of roaches coming in might be enough to eventually clean this up, but it's going to come at the sacrifice of a few drones that had to come off the line here to try and fight. Now they're on hold position, though, as the roaches aren't having the easiest time of being able to deal with that. Still has the drone advantage, and he will eventually be able to clean this up.
Holding by the skin of his teeth there. That looked like it was about to spiral out of control. Snoot being so greedy there, and he just barely hangs on. Such a nice hold, and really great drone micro. Not losing all of those drones. He did lose 8 in total, but he is still even in that drone count.
Doesn't he have a great window with 2-1 if you actually wanted to go with it? I mean, the 3 infestors popping out, if they are actually synced up with this, that could be a great move, but I think if you're in Snoot's shoes, do you feel a little bit apprehensive, saying, oh, okay, he did quite a bit there, maybe I should just hold on and continue on a normal path?
I think a lot of players would capitalize on that. They would say, I know I'm ahead in upgrades, let's go.
Yeah.
But Snoot being Snoot, he loves to play the slow game. He is always confident the longer the game goes. He doesn't just see the game in terms of getting ahead by finding a window to kill your opponent. He says, well, if I'm ahead with my army at that point, I can use it to get ahead in other ways. I can add more tech units like infestors, hydralisks. I can do all of these other ways to extend my lead throughout the game. And that's what makes Snoot such a fierce opponent, because the longer it goes, the more of those edges he's going to take.
58 or so energy on each of these infestors at the moment. Just need to bank up a little bit more. These roaches down to the bottom here, trying to get themselves some drones. They got 2, and actually trying to spread this out, and not enough energy for Fungal Ghost. That means he's going to have to drop down some infested Terrans here. Try and buffer. Good snipes out there by a laser onto the expensive infestors, but he will have to force them back.
Did lose a lot of roaches for that, but did get 2 of those infestors, and considering Snoot here, he's on a pretty low gas style, he can't actually afford to replenish those. So that's actually a very nice pickup. Otherwise, over the course of these roach wars, 3 infestors constantly regenerating, getting key fungals, that could make a huge difference.
Yeah, very much so. Now it's going to be Hydralisks here for Snoot, who tries to find these windows where he can transition on, where other Zergs will generally just stick around on roaches. I mean, a laser at the moment is a great example of that. He's sticking around on roaches, and usually he'll have a lot out, and it will be able to win out, but the numbers of roaches at the moment are very, very even.
Well, the scary thing for Snoot is look at his third base. His third base just doesn't have a lot of drones on it. It's like he's mining 6 gases. He's got a lot of gas income, but because he's not mining a lot of minerals right now, he's actually like really far down in that income, as we're seeing there on screen. So because of that, every tech unit is so valuable. Every one of these hydralisks or infestors is so important, and that's why I think he really needs to make something happen with this hydralisk addition. I mean, it's going to give him more ranged damage, but a laser's got the numbers right now.
132 army supply against 134 in regards to the full army supply with Hydralisk Den on the way as well here for Elaser and Infestation Pit. So he is very, very comfortable with the army size he has at the moment. Snoot, though, is he going to mobilize soon? Right now, it looks like with those Hydras mixed in, technically, shouldn't his damage output, especially since he's got Carapace as well against 0 Carapace from Elaser, shouldn't that be able to trump this army?
It's a stronger army in a straight-up fight, but if Elaser can get a really nice wraparound, a great concave or a great surround, that'll be great. A couple of roaches from Elaser are going to counterattack, forcing Snoot to commit even harder. Snoot's got a fungal growth in there as well. Those roaches from Elaser are starting to do damage, and a beautiful spread from Elaser coming in. A lot of Snoot's roaches are trapped at the back. This is a pretty good angle for Elaser, but the Hydralisks are just doing so much damage.
Burrow on forwards there with a few roaches to try and get on top of these Hydras, but at the same time, they just didn't do enough. 136 army supply against 74 at the moment. The roaches at the back were trying to shut down the rest of this, but at the same time, he's going to lose this base. If Snoot just pressed the advantage through to the production lines, he could probably finish this game.
Yeah, Snoot has found his timing window. You know, he had a bigger army supply because he was down on drones. He had a more dense army supply. He's got the Hydralisk, he's got the Infester in there. That key fungal was fantastic. Oh, a nice flank from Elaser.
Yeah.
Getting on top of some of those Hydralisks, but his natural is crumbling at the same time.
Yeah, that's very, very difficult. Still, those Hydras being able to survive at the back, just a few of them add on extra damage, so much extra damage. And there you go, GG well played. Snoot will take the series, and he will advance on to the round of 16 over into Poland.
Decisive, calm play from Snoot there. Not really giving anything away in that second game, saying, I'm going to play the most solid style I can. I will absorb anything you throw my way. And even after taking a hit, losing that third base, just so solid the whole way. Mass roach play. And then even though, you know, he felt like, oh, he lost a few drones there at his third, there was a slight seesaw moment, he just pushed across with those Hydralisks, and it was the perfect timing.
That's one thing to highlight as well here, as Elaser kind of recaps that in his head just there a little bit, is that he definitely was able to hold his own in that second game. It was a turbulent game with Snoot not exactly having the strongest of positions, but still, Snoot being able to win out in the end. Well played by him.
It's all the more impressive when you think about the fact that Elaser was planning to do the same Roach Baneling sort of attack and then had to kind of change his mind. That really disrupts your build, but he did great work with his Zergling micro, cancelling the third base, and he just played it out very calmly and very smoothly from there. I almost feel like he had the lead. If he could just have his roaches in a position to counterattack, Snoot can't attack across the map because he'd lose the base trade. And if he just buys a little bit of a time, Elaser could have made something happen.
Well, that does it from us, guys. Let's head over to the analysis desk to hear from Sean and see what Snoot has to say.
Lovely throw there, James. Good to see you on top of the game, mate. But we're joined here by Snoot, who is our first place finisher from today's group. You go into another season finals. We knew you had a little bit of a slip up in season 2. You did well in season 1. Good to be back on top going to the season finals now.
Yes, it feels great. My results so far this year have been a little bit mixed, especially since the Swarmhost patch. So, you know, I'm just happy to make it to the top 16 again.
What are your overall goals for the season? Are you taking it step by step? Are you just going to look at the round of 16 group, see how that is, and then take it from there?
Yeah, probably. You know, I try to be as well-rounded and good in every matchup, but I don't have any specific goals. You know, obviously I want to win, but on the long term, I just want to be as good as the Koreans, or, you know, high Korean level.
Better.
Yeah.
So BlizzCon in the past, we've talked about how, you know, there was this one season where you came really close to qualifying, and in the last season of WCS, season 3, you kind of crumbled and didn't do nearly as well and didn't end up making it. So is it one thing that's on your mind right now in terms of, I guess, you know, in a funny way, trying not to think about BlizzCon too much and taking it match by match? Or what's your mindset like in terms of looking at BlizzCon right now and thinking about it?
Yeah, the chances, like number-wise, my chances are very slim. So I try just to enjoy one event at a time and not stress out too much thinking about BlizzCon. Like, I just want to have some good experiences from each event.
Okay, and in map number 2 here, it looked like you were behind, and then he attacked, kind of overextended, I think, around your natural and third base. What was it that really allowed you to come back in the game? Is it your ZVZ expertise? Is it still your best matchup?
In practice, this season on ladder, I've been doing the best in CVC. So I think right now it's probably my best matchup, but I've had some very mixed results in tournaments. Like I lost to a lot of Korean players, and sometimes I feel like a punching bag, but other times I feel like a CVC god. So it's really difficult. But today I think what allowed me to come back was that a laser sacked a few too many roaches, so I knew that I had a decent army value. And yeah, I just have a lot of experience falling behind in my practice on ladders, so I know how to play from behind. And in this game, I was able to, I think I capitalized on the fact that he might have had too many workers. So my army was just a little bigger, and my hydras were a little bit faster.
Did you have any worries coming into today's group then?
I think it was one of the better groups, for sure. I didn't have to play the two finalists from last season. I was put into group with Lilbo and Hydra, and both made the finals. So I think it was one of the better groups, especially since CVT has not been my best matchup in tournaments. So I guess I got the best possible group.
So what's next for you? Obviously the season finals, but there's still a couple of weeks before that happens. Are you traveling anywhere? Are you doing anything? Is it just kind of calming down, practice, nailing a lot of games, then getting ready for it?
Yeah, I think I'll be practicing a lot back home in Norway. I've been traveling a lot recently to China and to Korea for Star League, which didn't go so well. So I'm kind of done with traveling for a while. I also went to the gaming house, the Team Liquid gaming house, so I stayed there for a while, and then Gfinity London. Like, it's been crazy busy months, so I'm just going to take things easy, and I think the practice that I gain in places like Korea and the Liquid gaming house, it really pays off when I finally get to rest a little bit from the travel. So I feel like I've broken myself down and practiced a lot, and now it's time to just get the mental up and get the shape up so I can perform. Absolutely.
We'll see you, and hopefully you do perform at the season finals in Poland. Everybody, Snoop, first place finisher from today's group. And we'll move forward to play in just a couple of weeks' time. Hopefully you guys can join us in Poland. We're going to go to a very quick commercial break, and when we come back, it's time for the decider match. Who's going through? Is it going to be Hitman or a laser?